Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Unbecoming, a show where we unpack labels, speak about all things parenting, and today we are talking about raising neurodivergent children. I'm here with two special guests who will be talking about raising children with additional needs. So, if you would just like to introduce yourselves, Missy, you go.
Hi guys, my name is Missy and I have a 12-year-old daughter with autism. I am an early years advocate.
Hey everyone, so my name's Erica. I have a child with autism who's 5, he's a little boy. I'm also a trainee solicitor, so I'm a working parent, and I'm here with Shayla.
Thank you. Okay, so can you just start off by telling me or telling us a little bit about your parenting journey? So, becoming a mom, the process of that, the mental process of preparing for motherhood. What was that like for you?
To be honest, I had a really difficult pregnancy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I was like nauseous, all the early signs that you have, I had it throughout.
Oh, really?
So I was
Oh,
vomiting
okay.
throughout, so it wasn't the best. So for me, it was more of a countdown. 4 months, 5 months. So it was a countdown. So to be honest, it went by so fast. There's not much thought that I put in, oh, what's it like?
Okay,
I just wanted the baby to come.
okay.
And I thought, just like millions of women before me's done it, I will follow suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you became a mom, was there any massive changes for yourself in terms of your identity, how you saw yourself?
Yeah, I think my identity slightly faded because you get this beautiful bundle of joy,
Right.
and all of a sudden you are thinking outside of yourself. And not only are you thinking outside of yourself, as a mother, and with the things that I've experienced in my childhood, for me was I became extra protective. Like even my ex-partner at the time, he couldn't do good enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So for me, it was an overwhelming feeling of like, now you are a savior, protector. You know?
Yeah.
And I'd never been anyone's savior or protector. So
right.
it was
It's
a
a
new
massive
thing.
responsibility.
Yeah. So I literally had to just put armor on and like, let's see where this
It's
gonna go.
interesting,
You know?
isn't it? What about you, Erica?
Yeah. I think it was the same. My pregnancy was terrible. I think initially when I got pregnant, I was actually quite young, so I was about 23.
Okay.
I thought I was a big girl. Wasn't. So it was a bit difficult trying to decide whether I actually wanted to go through with the pregnancy or not. And I think towards the end, I was just like, yeah. I think when I bought the pregnant kit, I was just like, yeah, you're keeping the baby. Like, let's just go on with this. But then the nausea started, and I think it's called HD's hyperemus.
It's got a name.
Yeah, some long name, and it's terrible. So I was in hospital. 24s, had drips.
Really?
My veins had collapsed at one point.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't even know all of this.
It was so bad.
That's
it was
crazy.
really, really bad. Yeah, couldn't eat, couldn't hold anything down. I used to I had to still go to work, and I'd go into work, and I'd show my manager, I'd be like, look, if I drink this cup of water, I guarantee you in 2 seconds it'll come straight back out. It was like a trick. So yeah, and it would. The thing is, it allowed me to. Working from home hadn't started yet, but because of that, I was allowed to work from home because of how bad it was.
Was it during COVID?
It wasn't even during COVID.
Oh,
This was
okay.
just before COVID started.
Oh, okay.
So I had that extra flexibility. I had a good manager at that time. So
What was you doing at the time? Was you...
So I was working. So I'd just come out of uni, got my first job, and I was working in loan management for a merchant bank. So it was to do with like law and family law and solicitors and stuff like that. I won't go into details. It's quite technical. But yeah, so it was a big job. So I thought, yeah, I've got my car, I'm driving, I've got my job, I've got my partner, everything's looking great. But I think in conversations, we realized that obviously my partner wasn't 100% ready. I wasn't 100% ready, but at the same time, I thought that I could take on the responsibility. And then when the sickness started, I think that's when everything got a bit like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, this is long. I want it to be done. I want to just have the baby and let's see, like, what's life going to say next. Got to the pregnancy, like to the room now, as in giving birth. And I think even before that, they were saying that he wasn't growing in the womb.
Oh, okay.
So it got to a point where they were saying they're going to have to induce me early because he's not growing enough. So that was really stressful because I think that's when the instincts start kicking in. It's just like, am I doing well? Is my baby okay? Like, what's happening here? And that was like my first touch in kind of like loving someone more than I loved myself. So got induced, terrible situation. pregnancy was horrible. I mean, as
Oh,
in, not
gosh.
even pregnancy, birthing was horrible. Having to push it out. I was
Push
supposed
it
to
out
have,
is
yeah,
crazy as well.
having to push it out. But yeah, so I think I was supposed to have a C-section. Didn't, luckily. Baby came, and it was very overwhelming. It was like, oh, really? Like, you're here?
Right.
Okay, that's nice. And then, yeah, I think after that, it was just this. In hindsight, I realized that I had probably postpartum anxiety, I think it is.
Okay.
Which is like, anytime I'd like take a step down the stairs, I think I'm going to drop him.
Oh.
And I didn't want anyone else to hold him because I thought they were going to drop him as well. So, but I didn't want to tell anybody because it's just like, I didn't know what it meant.
There's this weird like stigma
normal.
and shame attached to like,
Yeah.
if you don't have this overwhelming feeling of joy and happiness because you've just given birth, you're a bad mom.
Yeah.
Because I had postnatal depression during my pregnancy. I was just so disconnected to pregnancy. I was just like, get this out of me. I don't want to do this anymore. And then baby came. I haven't spoken too much about the story, but baby came and there was a lot of concern, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to go back in time.
Yeah.
I can't do this. So yeah, and there's a lot of shame attached to that space and being able to talk about that openly. So thanks for sharing that, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I want to add a little bit add to that as well. So what I've experienced right after I've given birth was like really loud, intrusive thoughts. Exactly
Yeah.
what you was describing. So if my physical being was on top of a stairs, my intrusive thoughts will say, "Hey, you're about to fall.
Yeah,
better
literally.
hold that baby." Simple thing as holding a glass cup. Oh, you got the baby.
You got the baby in your hand,
you know?
yeah.
And these, for me, they were more so intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning, they were very loud.
Very, very
But
loud,
once
yeah.
I recognized they were intrusive thoughts, that's when I needed to change
Yeah.
and like tackle it
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of
Letting it-
succumbing to it,
Right,
because that's
right.
what I was doing. 'Cause
Right.
I would hold her tighter and I would be like, oh no, she would actually, you know.
Yeah.
The interesting thing though is that, did you have that conversation with
I didn't
anybody
have
else?
that conversation. with
Yeah, neither did
anybody.
I. Yeah.
Also, like I was saying, like for me, it was
mic.
like I've now become like a protector, a savior to someone. So I had to portray to others
That
that
you had
I'm
it,
strong and I'm
yeah.
capable, so no one takes over or
Yeah.
sees me lacking.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was for me. Yeah.
It's so interesting parenting. This journey is like, oh gosh. Let's talk about the diagnosis stage now. So when did you first start to notice that there might be something different about your child?
Well, I grew up with children. I'm from
Okay.
a family of 11.
Okay. Yeah.
And we've got, like, besides my family, everybody has children.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I noticed it very early on. Again, my background is early years. So for me, I know all the milestones.
That you're supposed to be
And
reaching,
yeah, and I was the parent that had the knowledge and education. So I was following her milestones.
Right.
And it was going great. She was even using words. She was saying, Mom, Dad, car, you know,
Yeah.
at that age, 18 months, up to like 15 or 20
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
exactly.
pointing, saying singular words. She was doing all of that. And at 18 months, it stopped. So my daughter had something called a regression. So for people that don't know what that means, it just means that like she's not progressing and she's not going back neither. It's just a regression. 'Cause, for my daughter, it was a standstill, basically.
Okay.
So she stopped responding to her name. She stopped using words.
Was
she
it
stopped
almost sudden, like
communicating.
overnight?
It was overnight.
Really?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Like we'd had a really big front room and I make it like an entire play area for her, right? And she would sit in the corner all by herself. And she's an only child.
Right.
Normally she would be running around.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? But now she would literally isolate herself, from us, and face the other way.
Interesting. And how did you deal with that?
I just straight away went into like advocacy mode. I was like, no, my child has got delays. I need to take the steps. What do I do? But I didn't have the knowledge or even the understanding of how the system works. And that's why I'm so passionate now to like advocate and help other parents, because
Yeah.
I didn't know and I was running around like a
Right.
headless chicken.
Yeah.
So going back to when I found out her delays, quote unquote, I went to GP. GP referred
How old
me
was
to.
she, by the way?
My daughter was 20 months.
Okay.
Something like that. Because by 18 months, I already noticed the regression. Well, I didn't necessarily know it was a regression. I just noticed my daughter
there was something-
stopped
yeah.
progressing. She's not responding. She's very irritable. And it's not like her. So once we went to the GP, obviously he kind of didn't take me serious.
Okay.
So I was like, I understand that you're a general practitioner. I need to speak to a pediatrician, a child doctor that actually knows. So yeah,
we'll get into the stuff around professionals because I've got a lot to say about that as well. But go on.
Yeah, so that he's referred me to a pediatrician, and I just laid it all out to her. I was like, listen, I know you're like, I understand you, this is your profession, this is your career, but this is my child, this is my life. I don't want to come across another professional telling me that my child is not regressing, or there isn't any delays, or there isn't anything wrong, you know. And then she explained to me, she sat me down, lovely Spanish lady, she said, listen, Missy, I'm going to tell you one thing. Don't worry about what diagnosis or what condition your child might have. You are here at the right place now, and we're going to allocate what support we can give your child. And then we take it on from there. And that's why with my daughter, she didn't get diagnosed until the age 8.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we were receiving OT.
Okay, yeah. Occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy. We was receiving special...
speech and language.
Speech and language. I think we tried physio as well, but she didn't really, because OT was covering a lot of her physical needs. So the pediatrician I came across was amazing, right? Because we were aligned. Because for me, I didn't care what condition or syndrome my child may have. I just didn't like the idea of my child not having the support to even catch up to her peers. She don't have to be like her peers, but can give her the opportunity for growth, you know?
Before I ask that question, actually, let's hear from Erica. What was your experience like in terms of the diagnosis stage?
So mine was a bit different. Obviously, when I had my son, we were now approaching into the COVID period. So I had a health visitor who was absolutely amazing. So it was home visits. So she'd come to the house, she'd like watch Malachi play. And I think when he was about 6 months, it was the same. So he was saying few words. He was sitting up, but we got to a point where I think he couldn't like roll over.
Okay.
And I was doing the same thing. I was like, I didn't have much knowledge because I wasn't actually in early years, but I like to read a lot. So I was trying to figure out like, okay, what's he supposed to do at this age and what's he supposed to do next? And he wasn't quite catching on. Obviously, I think with the culture that I'm from, your mum was just, he's a boy.
Yeah,
it takes slower. Time. They're slower. Like, let's just wait. You know, let's just leave him. He's fine. And we just continued. And I think another time my health visitor came and he said we did like, there's these like papers that she follows that has like the milestones on it and what it is that he's supposed to be doing, and you tick the ones or you give it a score and where he's at. And I think when she did one of the evaluations, he wasn't reaching some of the milestones. So
sorry, can I ask what age that was?
This was before he turned 1. So this would have been probably like 9 months, I would say. About 9 months.
And was this out of concern, you as a parent?
So it wasn't even out of concern. It wasn't out of concern. I think I didn't know anything.
Yeah, so, I was gonna say, did you think that he might be
at that point in time? No, because I had no idea what even. I'm not even in that space. Do you know what I mean?
Right, like, and no one's actually looking for that.
No one's looking for it. All you're looking for is what you read online about where your child should be and what the professional is telling you at that moment in time. That's what they're there for, to come to do the home visits and let you know. Okay, so what's going on now? How is he dealing with like food and drinking, little things like that. So I'd probably just talk about, he's eating, but he might not be eating much at this point. And then when she started to say, okay, so he should be like rolling over at this age. And I don't have any, my family's not big, so I don't have loads of kids around me for me to know what stages we're supposed to be at. So when she started to say that, I was just like, okay, fair enough. I mean, he's still happy.
He's going to get there.
Yeah, he's going to get there in the end. It's not a problem. And I think when he turned 1, I took him on a holiday, and we realized that at that point he wasn't walking. And when I compared him to, this is when I had my cousin who was the same age as him, and when we compared the two, you could see like stark differences. I was like, okay, maybe there is a bit of a delay.
How did you feel at that point when it kind of hit like, okay, maybe?
It's weird because I don't know if I had a feeling of like, there wasn't any disappointment or like, oh my gosh, it was just more so, okay, we need to do something, that I need to help more. I think that's what it was.
The grief comes after.
Yeah. I was just like, we need to do
Survival
something about it. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, you can't walk. Every morning, 6 o'clock, we're going to get up, we're going to start walking.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to use your 2 legs and we're going to try and do something.
right.
And when that happened, he did actually start walking in Ghana. And then by the time we got to London, so I guess like 13, 14 months in, he was walking.
Okay, nice.
So to me, it was just like, you just got to put in a bit more effort,
Right.
and then he'll be okay. And then we realized like he wasn't talking. Then we realized his eye contact, he wouldn't really look at you in your eye when you were calling his name. And there was more milestones that he wasn't hitting. So I said, okay, maybe it's just because he's not around other children. So let me put him into daycare. And that was a massive stretch for me because it's extremely expensive.
Mate.
Putting children into daycare at that age. It's private.
Yeah.
So you're paying like thousands just
Right.
for them to go.
Absolutely.
And I was also working at that point. So I was just thinking, maybe I'll try and get him in full time. You get a bit of help here and there, but it's not much. But I thought that would help him. And it did. I won't say it didn't. It really did help him to pick up certain things that I wasn't able to get.
And things.
Social skills, yeah, exactly. But there were still loads of delays. And by that point, I think his teachers then got involved. Health visitor was then like, okay, we need to put him into speech and language because he should be talking at this point.
Sorry to cut you off. What age is that?
Speech and language, I think we started at 1. So 12, it would have been 12 months that we started to go in speech and language. So we started going there. Interesting, because when we went to speech and language, it was nothing like what I thought it was. I thought it would be like them generally teaching him how to speak, but it was more so them like playing with him. So I went in there and said, what's this? Like, what does this do? We do this at home. Like, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they make you do like, they come, like, you have to join meetings and they teach you to do certain things. And I was just like, this isn't benefiting me, but okay, if this is what you guys think will work, then let that work. So at school, they put him on their what is it called? Individual education plans on IEP.
Yeah.
Because he now wasn't following.
How old was he in then? This nursery.
This is before nursery, so this is like what do they call it?
Just like a.
It's just like daycare, preschool. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think by now he probably would have been like 18 months.
Okay.
So he's approaching 2, but he's around 18
Because
months.
they usually don't say much or diagnose until 3.
With boys is different.
Oh, okay.
I feel like with boys, because the signs are more prominent.
They're more prominent.
Because
Yeah.
girls mask a lot.
And what does
'Cause
that masking process look like, though, when they say that? Like, what would be the difference?
I
what age
couldn't
was
tell
your
you, I'm not
child when she,
neurodiverse, but with my daughter,
Yeah.
I think for her... Wait, sorry. Ask me again.
I even forgot what.
The masking. How does the masking look like? in
Yeah,
your
so
daughter?
for her, she just copies what everybody else around her is doing.
Okay.
And she's also very observant, so she is clocking the social etiquette, even though that don't mean nothing to her.
Okay.
But
She's
she
still
sees,
gonna do it.
my 2 friends are doing this, the social etiquette. Because they do it,
I'll do it. Yeah, my son was nothing like that. He's not doing it. He don't care.
Even following the routine at nursery, it was all based on
Interesting.
following my
I wonder
peers.
why
I don't
that's
want
a
to be
gendered
different.
thing. That, I don't know if anyone watching has experience of this, but that would be interesting to have a conversation about, like, in terms of why is there more masking in
females than there is in males.
Because when you look back at the history of neurodiversity and any kind of research on that, it was all based on boys, particularly Caucasian boys. So we're very far behind, but obviously now with more awareness, we can put it out there. You know, there are lovely, lovely ladies. I want to shout them out. Can I do that?
Of course,
they're called the Black
absolutely.
Sun Mummies. And the lady, I don't know if you're familiar with her, Lady Marsha running the group. Full of professional ladies, full of advocacy, full of like support and help, and they're bringing so much awareness out there as well.
Good. That's really
so
good.
we just need more of that representation. You know, seeing people of color in those positions.
Yeah, definitely.
Did receiving, so when you was going through your journey and you started to notice, okay, there might be something. How did you feel as a parent? I know you go into survival mode and you said the guilt comes after, but was there any part of you that felt a bit let down?
I felt guilt and grief. First, it was all like, I was just wrapping my head around my pregnancy, maybe because I was too sick, maybe I wasn't healthy enough. So I went on a guilt trip at first. And then after, when I calmed my guilt down and realized this is not about me, then it was the grief. because the grief of the child, the life that your child was gonna have, quote unquote, we've been indoctrinated, onto believing a very neurotypical society. Like even, especially if I'm from a family as well where there's no special needs.
Right.
No, not even ADHD. Maybe there were and they weren't diagnosed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't obvious for me to point it out, you know?
What about you? How did you feel? What was the feelings attached to the experience?
I think, what was the feelings? It's interesting. When I initially found out, I think it was the same thing. I think it wasn't necessarily guilt. I was just kind of like, did I do something wrong during my pregnancy? I didn't eat a lot. So I thought, maybe it's because of that. Then you start thinking, is it in the family history or like, and I was like, it's not in mine. It might be my ex-partner's, not 100% sure. And I think the next thing was, I was annoyed, if I'm being very honest.
Yeah.
I was extremely
let's
annoyed.
talk about it.
And the reason why I was annoyed is because at the end of the day, he's my son. So I don't really care what he has or what it is. I feel like he'll be fine regardless.
Yeah.
But it's how other people
perceive
him.
the societal pressures
And I think that's,
expectations.
yeah, the expectations of him. And I think that's what was annoying. It's like when you're at home, you can do what you want. Like run around, stim as much as you want. It's absolutely fine. But when we go outside, and it's just little things like, for example, if we're walking on the road and someone sees him and they think that he's cute. Oh, hi, you okay? And he's not going to respond to you because he just doesn't respond. He's not even going to look. Yeah, he's not even going to look at you. And then everyone gets a bit like, why is he? And then you have to now try and explain yourself. And I think that's what started to annoy me. And I had no idea what that feeling was. So it got to a point I was just like, just stop talk. Like, don't talk to us. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But then you have to kind of like get into that understanding that other people are, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Ignorant.
Thank you. Yeah. Other people are very ignorant. So, and it's they lack the education and the understanding of what other people are going through.
Yeah.
So you start to try and give people a bit more grace, but it is very annoying for the parent that's going through it. So that was my next stage of feeling, and then after that, I think the grief came. But that was only after I went to I think it was in a hospital. So it was in I forgot what this hospital is called. It's in near St. Thomas's, Evelina. That's it. It was when we went to the hospital, and there were other complications with Malachi. So when we were discussing it all together, I was like, oh,
this is a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what's happening next? My whole life changed. Like what I thought for him, having grandkids, for example, I didn't know if that was going to happen anymore. Am I going to have to take care of him for the rest of my life? Yeah. I also had to quit my job actually because it became too demanding. I needed to look for something that was more flexible for me to be able to be there for him the way in which I needed to be. So it was a complete change. So having to deal with that was really difficult, I think. So yeah, there was a bit of grief, but my grief didn't last long, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I did just kind of say, well, it is what it is. Just got to get on with it and take it.
It's interesting because when I work with some parents and there are like some signs of like, okay, there might be, your child might need some additional support and things like that. Initiating those conversations sometimes with parents, it's like, oh, professionals always want to diagnose kids nowadays and there's nothing wrong with him, he's just slow or whatever it is. And I think there might be an element of shame just because they're not neurotypical, and it's like, no, my child is fine, and you just it's almost protective. Actually, it's protective of that space of, no, my child is fine, my child is normal. But what I would say to any parent who has maybe worries that maybe their child is neurodivergent, that it's so much better to get early intervention than to wait because of your ego. Your ego will keep them in a place where they continue to digress or regress even, but an early diagnosis would definitely be in their best interest, because now you've got all the professionals around, you're constantly having conversations, but also you almost shift gears, and it's kind of like what you guys are speaking about. There was a shift in your parenting where it's like, oh, I can't be so laid back, we've got to get up and walk every day, we've got to sit down and play this game. And I think it's really important for parents to hear that.
I think definitely you get to a point where you feel like, my child's fine, I don't need to do anything. They're just talking for the sake of talking.
Right.
But when the school started speaking to you, do you get that feeling a little bit where it's just like, are you guys being for real? Like,
No, honestly, I can relate.
I think I wanted to get all the help I could potentially get, and in my head I was like, even if he isn't autistic, I'd rather
Get the help.
Get
Go
the
through
help.
the process.
Yeah.
Go to the meetings. Go to the
And
classes.
exactly,
Absolutely.
rather than them label him as a child that maybe just doesn't listen, is naughty and is put in a corner. If I'm being honest, I would rather the label of autism or neurodivergent, so that he can get the help that he needs to get. So early intervention, I think, is definitely necessary.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents, part of it is shame as well, and we're just indoctrinated into believing in neurotypical society only. Anything other than that,
anything that
you
diverts
carry,
from that is,
you carry shame, you know. And if I was to give advice to any parent, like, don't be scared, don't be ashamed, because once you are scared and once you are ashamed, imagine where your child's mindset is at.
Absolutely.
Right?
And just because they don't have... Yeah, go on, sorry.
You're doing the best, like, advocacy, the way you are doing it and the way I did, which is early intervention, yeah? It's not about diagnosis, and no matter what diagnosis or condition your child had, it doesn't define
who your child actually is.
But supporting your child might be able to have an independent life.
Right.
Definitely.
And right? As much as possible. And that they deserve. And that, as a parent, the child has a right for them to be able to live a life, you know, and then the best way to do that is supporting their independence.
Absolutely.
You know,
genuinely, just because it seems like in the beginning things aren't going the way that you want them to go, that doesn't mean that in the next 10 years they're not going to be flying, they're not going to be able to do all of the things, even and plus more. Do you know what I mean? So better you help them now than
and there are
later.
a lot of mothers in your position, because when it happened to me, I thought I was the only parent because my surroundings, nobody around me. And I really thought it was happening like to you.
Just a personal
not for
me.
Yeah. Like,
speaking
even
of,
with God.
Speaking of the support around you, what was your support like from your children's fathers?
Very difficult, actually.
And with what was their experience of the...
Sorry.
What was your experience of them with the diagnosis? Were they like going into protective mode?
Because our process was so long. It took from 18 months to 8 years, right? But yeah, for him, it was very much, my child is fine. I don't know what they're talking about. I said, I wish you said that in the meeting with all the professionals that diagnosed her. But to be honest, we both just dealt with the whole situation differently. So I don't want to come on here and shame how he dealt with things. But it was, towards me, it was negligence. And for me, I was in advocacy mode. And if you're not in my team, my role now is to do the best I can for her. And if you don't want to be on my team, you're going to get left behind. That's what it was for me. Yeah, unfortunately. But not just based on that, you know, just like once you lose that unity, I think we could talk about the strain that it puts in relationships when you do have a neurodiverse child as well. But he didn't take it really well. If he did, to me, the way he portrayed it was, my child is fine. There's nothing wrong with my child. I had a little stutter and speech delay and stutter.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone around me as well was just saying, she's too young. Just wait. I had an auntie say to me, just wait till she gets to school. And let the school deal with her. I'm the parent. It's my responsibility. Why do I have to wait till school age to help her, you know? And that's when I realized it's not just the shame. It's also they leave the support onto the school.
The school.
And then you lose the rights of your child's voice and of your voice as a parent by giving them all the rights, because they're just there to support you. That's it. If anything, as a parent, I'm helping their school.
Absolutely, and that's a really important point, and we'll get back onto that, to advocacy and like challenging professionals. But I just wanted to hear from you, Erica, about your experience in terms of support.
So with my ex-partner, I think he was very much on this, like, God will do it, you know, be fine, God will do it, he's fine, like, I don't think it's a big issue, we will, you know, there's nothing to do, let's just go on with our day-to-day lives. If I'm honest, he wasn't around as much during the whole process. I think I went to a lot of the appointments by myself, and the ones that he was at, I wish he would have spoken up at that time rather than afterwards. But I think in regards to the support, the difficulty with the support is that a lot of people tend to think that it's not a problem, it's not an issue. So yeah, let's just wait till he goes to school. And that's why I actually put him in school early, because that was majority of the advice that was happening at that time. But yeah. I won't say too much about
okay,
that.
so there wasn't much. So what about your family though? Was your family, so once you got the diagnosis, was your family, do they know what autism is?
No, I don't think anybody knew what autism was in
So what
my
do they
family.
think now?
Now, interestingly enough, when my mum, for example, sees a neurodivergent child on the bus, she spots it straight away.
Okay.
And she's so much more warmer and, hi, trying to talk to them because she has a grandchild at home that is. But prior to that, I think, I love my mum, but there was ignorance there because you hadn't been privy to that situation before. You didn't have that experience, so you didn't know what it meant. If you see a child on the bus and they're screaming,
she didn't understand that struggle as a parent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if a child is screaming on the bus, you why is he screaming? Why is he making so much noise? Now it's, if a child's screaming, you probably might have a bit of, let's be a bit kind. Let's be kinder. And I think that's how the diagnosis has changed.
Her perception of it.
Her perception of
what
stuff
about you,
in the
Missy,
family.
in terms of family support and their perception of autism? Do they know what it is?
They didn't know what it was. Yeah, there's no autism in my family. If there is, it's never been diagnosed. For me, it was a lot of like ignorance as well, and I couldn't relate. Like, the first thing that I was feeling for when I became a mother was my mother. Because you start to feel more for your mother.
Yeah,
you
you
become
do.
a mother.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm become a mom.
And now
it's
I'm
4 times now.
And mine did it 11 times.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, she's a champion.
So for me, she didn't understand my struggle, and I couldn't understand
can't
why she couldn't even try and relate or empathize. You're my mother, But then I realized it's the lack of and then a lot of it is she's talking now. Okay. Once my child was having speech and language, she started using her words again. She was responding to her name. Once she had a bit of a progression, right? It was like, oh, you're so blessed. She's talking now. Everything is fine.
Yeah, I can imagine that. My son's still non-verbal, so
and
we're
until
not there
she
yet.
sees us in situations where she's at my house or I'm at her house, until she sees me in a struggle, that's when I see it. I see it in her eyes. Do you see that in your mum's eyes?
Oh, definitely.
I see it in her eyes.
What do you see?
Like the struggle that she can't relate to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, wow, you're like, this is a lot.
Like, this is your life.
Yeah, this is a lot.
This
You're
is a
really
lot.
going
And I
through it.
should be more understanding and empathetic towards you. But other than that, out of mind, out of sight. And a lot of my sisters, they all had children, but none of them have neurodiverse children. And it wasn't the best thing. Because for me at that time, as much as I was in survival mode, I didn't want to explain myself to everybody.
I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah,
And it used to be really hurtful when my little niece, that's like younger than my child, would be like, Auntie, why am I not talking? And I'd be like, well. Now, over time, in the beginning, I was very, very defensive. I didn't want to explain myself to anybody. And I even perceived it negatively. I didn't perceive it genuinely. Like, my sister asked me one time, why is she not saying mum? That hit me so hard. Because she used to say mum. She stopped saying mum. Now I haven't heard her call me mum in a year. And the first thing you say is, she never calls you mum?
Oh, yeah.
And I perceived, now looking back, I'm like, it was a genuine motherly concern as a sister, you know?
Yeah.
But because that was so deep for me,
hurts.
I perceived it as a negative thing.
Yeah.
Her
It's really important that our mindset in those spaces are strong and you're exercising positive self-talk.
Definitely.
Because you can definitely dig yourself into a hole that is so difficult to get out of once you get into that mindset, because now everything feels like an attack, and then you take away from being the parent that your child actually needs you to be, because you're so wrapped up in the labels, the stigma, the shame, that you're not actually giving them a good service. What was your experiences like working with professionals? Did you find that they had a good understanding of your child, or like how did you perceive being in those rooms, having those conversations? Because I think a lot, and I'm a social worker, so being in a room with a professional is normal for me. But when I was on the other end of it, when I was talking to professionals about my son, I was like, oh, this feels a bit much. It feels a little bit like an attack. But because I'm confident and I know my child, I can advocate. But I know for a lot of parents who've never dealt with services, going into a room full of professionals, not really sure what this could be, can feel like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, this is too much. And you kind of lose your voice sometimes in those spaces. So just talk to me a little bit about your experiences.
What's interesting, I think what we didn't get to speak about before, is the the autism diagnosis. So obviously,
okay.
everyone's
Oh,
always,
yeah, sorry.
everyone's always like waiting for the, okay, I just need to wait for the diagnosis. Once I get the diagnosis, then I'm gonna know what to do. And I kid you not, it means nothing. Like, so I was waiting for I was lucky. So some people wait years to get their diagnosis. I think I waited for about a year.
Okay. So how old was he when he actually got diagnosed?
He was 3.
Oh, okay,
He was 3 when he got diagnosed. And what happened was, I think we got a letter, had loads of like calls before, but we had a letter saying that we should come into one of these like centres so that they could
the assessment.
for the assessment. And so I was thinking it's going to be like a big thing. Got there, and it's literally just like a little small room. There's like one table, a bit of toys, and literally like a computer, and the guy sitting there. And I go in now, and he's just like, yeah, so I'm just going to be watching him. I'm going to be writing some stuff on like a paper, like a booklet is what he was writing. And I'm going to assess him. And he did absolutely nothing. If I'm being honest, all he did was say, oh, Malachi, played with a little bit of toys with him. Malachi, what about this? And obviously, I guess that's what they learn at school to be able to get the diagnosis that they need. But to me, I was just like, it lasted less than half an hour. And towards the end, he goes, yeah, so obviously he definitely has autism, and, he has issues with like social awareness, and his speech and language is obviously bad as well. So
Did you feel like the assessment wasn't sufficient?
It wasn't. I don't know how from that assessment you'd be able to get that my kid is autistic.
That's true, because actually I've had one parent get like a almost diagnosis. They were like, this is what we think, and it was a telephone conversation.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Where she's reported concerns.
So majority of the times they're asking you, it's very parent-led. So they're asking you, what does he do at home? No one comes to your house to come and observe over a span of a period of time. I think it needs to change, if I'm being honest. Because I could really be like hyping it up. I could over-exaggerate.
And let's be honest, there is a financial element to
gain. Exactly. So it just didn't feel much. So by the end of it, I said, okay, so this is what it is. This is what he has. I think it was like autism with social and emotional something and speech and language delay.
Right.
And it was written down. I wasn't given anything. All I was given, I think I asked, I said, so what happens next? And he said, oh, okay, so here's a leaflet. Here's another leaflet. If you want to go and talk to these people, you can go online to, what's that, National Autism. National Autism. Go on there. They've got loads of things there. You can take a look. And I was like, he's having issues with like toilets, like potty training and stuff. He said, oh yeah, here's another leaflet. Take a look at that. Give them a call. That'll be able to help. And if you want, you can come in and come to like these groups, these coffee sessions. And I was like, I'm a working mum. Are you expecting me to leave my house at 9 a.m. to come and sit down to talk for 2 hours? What am I doing here? And I left feeling more confused than I did when I walked in. And so a lot of people that are sitting there waiting for the autism diagnosis, it's not going to be like a
magic wand. Now all the doors are open. Now everything's
all
sorted.
The doors are open. If anything, it made things a lot more difficult. So it was after that I then had to go through the EHCP process and talking to all of these different types of professionals. You had to go to the hospital a couple of times. If I'm being honest, I didn't actually go to the GP much. I feel like the GPs don't do anything. Like they don't.
General practitioners.
They don't know.
There's so much shade for GPs. Sorry,
no, because majority of the time they're Googling what it is.
I know.
The problem is they're not actually observing the person to know what their issue is. So I think it's just a waste of time. What you do want is a pediatrician. They are a lot more better. They know what they're talking about. And obviously my son's been in hospital because of other concerns aside from the autism. But what I did find difficult is that it was very hard to get him, what's the word that I'm looking for? If they want to take blood or they want to check his
temperature.
Temperature. Couldn't get any of that done. So the first thing that they're asking, is he autistic? And it's just like, but I mean, any children don't like doing this. So you find a way to make it work.
Right.
You get what I mean?
It's true. There's a lot of like shame, not shame, sorry. There's a lot of like
pressure of performing.
Yeah.
Your child having to perform
at that time.
This is expected.
Exactly. It's like, no, but you're in the hospital, so you must sit down and you must make sure that your hand is, still so that I can get the cannula in. No, he's 5 years old. He doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And if a child that didn't have autism and was just, I don't know,
not wanting to do it,
he probably won't sit down either, but you'd have a bit more patience to speak to him and explain stuff to him. So I think that was a big difficult for me is that after you get the diagnosis, it's just like, yeah, everyone's now a lot more cautious around how they want to handle your child. So there was a couple of tests that he needed to get done, and the doctors would just be like, I don't think he'll be able to handle it, so let's just park it for another year and let's see how it goes then, assuming that maybe the next year he will, I don't know, maybe also like get better, or you know, the autism will reduce. I have no idea, but it made it really difficult dealing with those type of professionals in those settings. And we'll go on to the EHCP.
Yeah, we'll go on to that. What about your experience, Missy, in terms of professional involvement?
Yeah, when it comes to professional, my GP was in a separate borough than where I live in. So my GP referred me to a pediatrician, but it wasn't my borough.
Oh, okay.
It's like where I live.
Right.
That road of mine is part of a borough, but the rest of it, you know, and the GP is just down the road.
Okay.
So my first experience with these professionals was the pediatrician, and after putting support like speech and language and OT in place, she gave her a general diagnosis, global delay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I feel like that's a general one they put on children until they can really specify what her special needs was. So her first diagnosis at 4, right before school, was global delay.
Okay.
The pediatrician did mention all the work that I was putting in, and my child was actually progressing. And like, not every child has that luxury, but it just happened with the right support and doing things the same way at home, it made her progress. So we were able to potty train.
Okay.
We were able to be all ready for mainstream school, quote unquote mainstream school, because at the time, with her global developmental delay diagnosis, no special needs school would take her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said that her needs didn't match
their criteria.
The criteria compared to the other children in the borough. Okay. So that was our first diagnosis. We continued doing our therapy that was put in place, and then at age 8 she was diagnosed. It was similar to what you said, but with me I didn't go in with my child, I think because she was old enough. So that room situation, she did it herself. And also part of the assessment was all the professionals that were involved, the speech and language, they had to do an assessment and determine. And just to go back quickly on what you said earlier, you know, when you get the reports when you're a child, like even when you're putting all the support in place and you're doing all the right things, when that report used to come, I used to wait 2 weeks to open a letter.
Really?
I used to be shaking in my boots because it would be like, A, so-and-so, A. So it's so literal in your face. And that's not how you feel about your child. And it's so hard to read.
What's interesting there, because before I even got to the HCP, I think even before I got to the diagnosis, when he was at school, when we was doing the individual educational plan, I think they were like, we need to move from there to the EHCP now. And we did the first one and it failed. And they were like, you're writing too much positive things.
Who said that?
This was the council who were in charge of the EHCP process.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like, this isn't going to go through. It failed. And then they said it's not going through. And the reason why it's not is because you guys are writing that he's basically fine, like he's completing certain things.
But what they don't understand is you have normalized this lifestyle now. Yeah. So to you, it is minimal.
It is. Yeah,
if you
exactly.
were to compare what you are saying to your typical child, you put in way more. Your child needs way more effort and support and time and patience.
Literally,
you know?
yeah. So they were like, how you got to write the worst, the absolute
the worst case
the
scenario.
worst of the worst.
What's the language?
What's the worst state?
And I think that's what makes it difficult reading those type of reports, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, you guys aren't even realizing like the good moments where for all I've actually completed potty training after 2-3 years. Like
I know
he can climb, because my son couldn't walk upstairs at one point. He's now walking up the stairs.
And you want to celebrate that. You want those in the report. It's interesting that, because I've experienced that as well. My son also has an EHCP, and I am onto them. Yeah. I'm like, take that out. That's not true. Rewrite that word. I don't like using certain labels, because language is power. You're speaking things into existence. So I don't even use the word disability. I say special needs, because or additional. You just need additional. We just need a little bit more, right? Yeah. And I'm very particular with, because also for me, I don't know if you've experienced this, but professionals are coming in, doing an observation for about 20 minutes. I'm here 24/7, 365. I know my son, right?
Yeah.
And you've come in for 20 minutes, you've written a report, and now this is fact.
This is
because
what
it's
it
on
is.
paper and
Yeah.
you've signed it.
But this is interesting. What I've realized is that if that isn't there, if the worst
it
of
has
the worst
to be
isn't
there,
there,
and this is the thing,
he's not getting the help
support that he needs. Yeah, so
And
it is, it's that
it
part.
really stressed me out because at that point in time, we were trying to transition from nursery to mainstream school. And I've now applied. And now I can't apply for us. I wanted him to go straight into special school so that I knew that he would be able to get the help that he wanted. And we couldn't. So he had to do mainstream for a year.
Did you have an educational healthcare plan in place before he started
No,
school?
so this is where we're saying
That's the importance.
this was the problem. Because when we tried to do the educational healthcare plan before he started, they said we were writing too many positive information. So it failed. So we then had to complete the process again. And to complete that process again took about just
3
under
months,
a year.
yeah.
It took under a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it took really long. And that's what I was saying. The process was absolutely terrible. I was calling constantly. They couldn't get spaces in any of the schools. They were saying that one of the schools is like, we can't handle his needs. His needs are too much. He doesn't speak. So, and I was like,
That's really hurtful to hear, right?
So I've had so many arguments in the last 2 years with these teachers because I was like, you guys do not know my son. So even though it says he's not speaking, have you seen him? You've not seen him. You've not actually, he's not been in your school for you guys to be able to determine whether you can handle his needs or not. So how dare you tell me that you can't handle my child?
I know.
So it was stressful.
It's hard,
That's
isn't
the
it?
advice I want to give parents
Yeah.
as well. In order for your child to go into a SEND provision school, they need an educational healthcare plan in place.
They do.
And people think you need a diagnosis to have an education.
No.
You don't need a
No, no.
diagnosis. And you can do self-referral.
Yes,
you don't
you
need
can.
a professional
But this is the problem,
to
though.
do it for you.
When I did the self-referral initially, so I've actually gone through the process 3 times because I did the self-referral, that failed. Then the second time, the teachers did it, then that failed. And then the third time, they got a bit of guidance and they were like, I think the SEN for the borough came in and observed and then gave them guidance on how they're supposed to write the SEN,
the care plan,
the care plan for them to be able to accept it. So as much as, yes, you can do self-referral, but what I would say is more so you need to have meetings with the school, with the teachers. They need to have every support possible from the council, from the borough, for them to be able to get the guidance that they need to help draft that plan. And obviously every borough is different, but my particular borough, they don't want to hear from the parent, they want to hear from the professionals, unfortunately, and I think that's what's annoying. But it requires guidance from the parent and the acceptance of the fact that you need this help to be able to get what it is that you need for your child, for that healthcare plan to be sorted out.
It has to be a collaborative approach for sure.
Yeah.
And just with you, Missy, so your daughter was only diagnosed at 8. So was she in mainstream school prior to 8?
Yeah, so my daughter, entire primary school, she was in mainstream.
Okay.
Right? And now we are in high school. Me and her dad, we've opted out taking her to a SEND provision school. Because as lovely as primary mainstream school was, she did build her social skills. She built more on her interpersonal skills, but academia, can we talk about that? In mainstream schools, they don't push SEND children.
Yeah, they don't.
They try to, their best hope is to be able to manage them during the school hours. Right? And is that what you want? Your child to be managed? When they're at nursery and they're crawling, your child needs managing, you know. But when they're at that stage, they need adult guidance, play, innovation, creativity.
It's true. That's a really good point.
They don't have the time. I think when my son got into the mainstream, they were like, because he was supposed to be in reception, and they actually put him in the nursery provision. And the reason they did that, they said, first of all, it was they felt like they couldn't meet his needs, and so this wasn't the right school for him. And they told me up front at a meeting, had a big argument with them, but they said that they felt like the reception room was too structured for him to be able to get what he needed from that class. So he needed more like a open space and to be able to play a bit more, to be able to like gain his educational needs. And I kid you not, for a year straight, I think all my son did was play. Like,
because they want to manage.
he wasn't taught much. And it was really annoying. So you have to kind of consolidate that at home. So you got to do the teachings at home. And it's like my son, although he can't speak, he recognizes a lot of things. He knows a lot of things.
He communicates in his own
communicates
way.
in his own language,
Right.
yeah. But the problem is that they don't have the resources in that mainstream school to be able to handle a child that has, and support a child that has additional needs. And that's the reason why I pushed to get him into an SEM provision. Yeah.
And I want to point out as well, like, there is a difference between mainstream and SEND provision school, but it doesn't mean that they're any better. Okay, the support and resources and funding they definitely have. Like, I'm noticing this now. This high school that my child is in, she's in year 8 now. It's the second year. They have the resources, they have the extra funding, and they do amazing things like skiing. They had a whole curriculum where they'd gone skiing. They had a whole curriculum where they just do these things, yoga.
Okay.
So they have the funding and the resources. But this is the second year. We're still learning the same thing as we was last year. You know, and I'm not expecting like some type of ladder and she's gonna climb and she'll be at the top of the class. No, but I am expecting some progression.
In her academic side.
It's not pushed. If I'm being honest, in mainstream, and I don't know if it's any better in SEND provision, because as much as we want our children to thrive in school, which is SEND provision, that's their aim, is all about, you know, learn their individualism, how they like to learn, right? And putting the right teaching assistants with them as well that understand them. Did you speak to the school about that, by the way?
Yeah. So I did a lot of
that allocation can make so much difference for your son
with the teacher assistant.
The right
so,
allocation.
And this is the thing, in the mainstream school, he was supposed to have a teaching assistant. He did have a teaching assistant. That was the one that they showed me. This is the person that's going to be with your son during the period of time. But there are so many other kids in the class
that they can't
necessarily.
They actually don't really do one-to-ones anymore.
No, they don't. And there's not enough funding within mainstream school to have a one-on-one. Back in my day, when I was younger, people had one-to-ones.
Yeah, no, they did.
But that should be allocated on your educational healthcare
It
plan.
says that. So this
like
is
hours.
Yeah.
29.
So this is the thing. They have the hours allocated, and even if you've got the maximum amount, sometimes they still don't have enough to cover the cost of that individual that they're bringing in, because they're saying that doesn't cover the hours that they're actually working. So for example, with my experience, it took long for him to finally get into the private nursery that I had him in, because she was explaining that just because, so for example, my child will go from, I can't remember the times now, it was like 8 till 3, for example. The teacher would still be working until about 5. And the EHCP doesn't cover those costs. And so they would have to find extra funding to cover that. So now she's not one-to-one. She's just another general member of staff. So although he's allocated a one-to-one, they actually there for this whole school, and they don't do one-to-ones anymore. But
no, but this is nursery you're speaking of.
This is nursery, but even reception,
year 1, year 2, in mainstream
now they will have
school.
Now they will have a someone who's assigned to your child, but they're not going to be with them throughout the day. It's like she will manage a group of kids. Or I say she, but they would manage a group of kids. But there's no like specialist person that you are going to be with this one child. And when I did ask somebody else about it years ago, they said that what they found was that sometimes children wouldn't want to socialize more because they get so attached to having this one teacher that they wouldn't socialize and integrate within the school.
Yeah, I think with my daughter, she was allocated. There was a teaching assistant in the class, but she was also a learning assistant. Is that what they call it?
Learning assistant.
Yeah, and she did have that person up until year 3, 4. And the only reason why they wanted to change that dynamic, because they kind of wanted to prepare her for high school. She's going to get used to so many different adults. So instead of her having one key person, they were swapping it around between 3 different ones. Instead of it just being for her, it would be for a small group in the class. So, but that was reduced based on the collaboration of what the school thought and what I thought. But prior to that, reception, year 1, my child was not fully verbal. So I was on their asses. I was like, okay, write everything down for me.
How long ago was this though? Because your child is
you're right.
And this
things
is where
might have changed.
I think things have
definitely
changed massively, because I tried to push for that a lot, because I was like, I've seen it happen before. There were kids that had additional needs in my school class when I was in primary school, so he should have a one-to-one, and they were like, no, we don't do that anymore. And just in case a teacher's sick, like what will happen then, like the child would be attached to that particular teacher. That means it would ruin his entire school day, and that you'd have to come and pick him up and stuff like that. So they were like, they just don't do they don't do learning assistance.
It's a really important question to
my
ask.
daughter, the first year reception.
Yeah, 8 years ago.
They
was a long
gave
time
her.
ago.
No, but you know what they did? Like, I wasn't aware of this because I'm so like inner. I want to know everything. So when she first started, where my child wasn't fully verbal, I was like, can I see the classroom?
Yeah.
Can I see the allocation? Can I see? They had a small table for her. If this is the room, she was facing the opposite way.
That's terrible.
Her table was facing a wall, and the rest of her
That's
class
terrible.
is there. And I said to her, just because my child is not verbalizing her
Doesn't
needs
mean
to you,
that.
but she's very aware that you're the teacher.
Yeah.
She's very aware that these are my peers. So if you're going to exclude her and place her facing a wall, that's not going to like do anything for my daughter. So remove that table
No, that's
and let her
horrible.
sit with them.
Yeah.
But had I not said that, had I not seen, my daughter could have sat there the whole year facing the wall.
Imagine that.
It's a bit different now because I feel like I definitely got shown around the school. I went a couple times actually. And even on the first week, it was annoying actually in the first instance because he was doing half days. So you'd go in 9 to 11, and after the next week it was like 1 to 3. But in that first instance, I was in the setting to see where it is that he'd play, just so that he could get a bit comfortable as well. And I had the opportunity to ask any questions. And I was also asked to come back so that he could get more information about how my child actually is. So what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he needs to calm himself down. And I think those are good. To be honest, the first school, the first mainstream school, they didn't do that. I had to fight for that. So I had to say, because you guys don't know my son, you're making presumptions. So these are the things that you need to know. Had to make a complaint, write a letter in before they took me a bit more seriously. And I think the reason why that had happened is because in their head, they were like, this child isn't staying here for long because we don't have the necessary
capacity.
the capacity or the support that we that he needs. So he needs to go off to SEN school. So once his EHCP is in place, he's
So
going
they kind of wrote him off.
Yeah, so I spoke I said, you guys need to stop their funding. Like the EHCP funding that this school is supposed to get, if they're not going to do what needs to be done for my son, just don't give it to them. Like they can use whatever funding they've got for their school already, because you're not going to get...
They're not using it.
Yeah, to actually help my child.
I think one of the things I'm hearing a lot from you guys, because we're going to round off the discussion now, is that advocacy is very, very important in this space. And it sounds like you both have done amazing things to get your children the help that they need, accepting diagnosis, early intervention, all of these things. What are some of the key things for anyone listening now, new parents, parents who are worried about a diagnosis or have just got the diagnosis? What advice would you be giving to them?
Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Yeah, let's start there. As long as you focus on, like, you want your child as a parent, right? You want your child to have the best life possible. And obviously your child is going to grow up. It's not going to stay little. Your child is going to grow up. You want them to be an independent adult. Some may need more support than others, but as independent as possible. Focus on the support that you can give your child and celebrate the wins. Celebrate every little thing, because when you are literally hurraying for your child in front of your child, hooray. But also when you're sad, be sad. Children don't understand the complexities of adult emotions, but you just crying and you just, you give me a hug, you make me feel better. Open up to your child. Don't be afraid. Like, don't think now their special needs, I have to protect them and I can't show them reality. No, share the reality with them. Share their wins, share the sadness, and share reality. Like, obviously with the cognitive ability of what your child is capable of, but share the reality. Don't create this bubble between you and your child. Open the bubble up. That would be my advice.
I'd say research. There is a lot of things out there. If you do a Google search, even on social media, on Instagram, I think a lot of people are
talking about
it now. And there's more awareness. But it will allow you to understand what route you want to take in helping your child succeed. This is including in terms of schools, mainstream, SEN, and I guess in this case also remembering that your child is an individual, and so what might work for one might not work for yours. So don't presume to try and make one size fit all, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that would be my advice. And yeah, have fun with it.
Have fun.
Yeah, because they're
Embrace
still
it,
kids.
accept
Yeah,
it,
at the end of the
embrace
day.
it. And another helpful thing is that every local authority, so every borough has a local offer, which means that there is a pot of money allocated specifically for children with additional needs. There's loads of activities on usually, especially during summertime.
Yeah.
You can also get a care element of support. Sometimes they even, depending on your child's needs, you can get respite care. So there is a lot of support out there. So yes, research, and I would definitely recommend that you do look at your local borough to see what is available. Every child with a disability is a child in need, which means that there's always support available, even without a diagnosis. Just the concern, like learning difficulties, things like that. Have those conversations, be open, speak to social workers. We're not that scary. Yeah, we are here to support, believe it or not.
I think you're the nicest social worker.
Oh, well,
I've met.
thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that. So yeah, I thank you both so much for sharing your journey, sharing your story, and putting a positive light on this conversation.
That was my intention. My
Yeah,
intention was to keep
absolutely.
it positive, because I really do want other mothers or fathers.
And fathers, sorry,
fathers,
dads,
and
yeah.
fathers,
completely
we love you
excluded
too. Yeah, I really want them to see that, like, you know, there's life after diagnosis.
Absolutely.
There's life with children with conditions. I never refer my daughter as autistic. She's a child with autism. That because autism
That
doesn't
part.
define my child. So language also
is
very important.
Yeah. Thank you both. Appreciate you.
Round of applause.